Hey, Nate, I don't care that it's 79 degrees outside. I don't care that it's September 25th as we record this edition of Only Weird Games here on KCSN. I don't care about when the major holidays are coming or how far away we are from them. Because, Nate Taylor, I don't care what you think. I'm making the declaration anyway. On Sunday afternoon at Arrowhead Stadium, we've got real football! Seth Keysor run to his kitchen and back during the little intro stinger. And Nate, I do care very, very, very much how you feel in the grand scheme of things. But I've decided we are fighting on this one particular issue. Welcome back from New York. We didn't have you on Tuesday. What were the vibes like right now? How are things feeling out there as you've been an intrepid reporter of ESPN out there at Arrowhead?
Things are looking up. This looks like a team that has, everyone available for the game that isn't suspended. So who knows? Maybe, you know what? Maybe you're right, Josh. Maybe this will be the first sniffs, the first signs of real football, because one of these teams we think is going to be 1-3. But nah, man, the Chiefs look loose. We got video today of Xavier Worthy dancing, So, getting some wiggles out before his first NFL game this year, right? Because we're not gonna run mesh, so it'll be normal. It'll be a real game.
To be fair, they barely ran mesh when he got hurt. Like, I wouldn't say they ran mesh, because for mesh you actually have to mesh. They ran collide.
They ran thump.
They ran thud. Like, that was not.
They ran small guy, big guy.
It's, if anyone ever wonders if Travis Kelce, Andy Reid always talks about, because Kelce's not like a shredded dude the way like George Kittle is, right? If anyone's ever wondering, Andy Reid always talks about like how like strong Travis Kelce's core is, and he's a bigger guy than people think. And to be fair, Xavier Worthy weighs 175 pounds, but like you watch that, you're like, man, yeah, he is pretty strong, because that was like, holy smokes. But yes, I am with Josh. It's real football. And Nate, I interrupted you. What are the vibes?
So, okay, if we are agreeing on the premise that this is real football, Harrison Butker's gonna make all his kicks, right? Because that happened. I don't know what that was, ladies and gentlemen.
Seth interrupted you one time and took it really hard. I don't know, Seth. If we're keeping score on crosstalk offenses from you and Nate,
that's not going to go well.
Cut the deficit to 52. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Wow. What a critical basket with 6 minutes left in the season. So like, I don't. Harrison Butker looked good today. Looked like he was,
Was he kicking a football while
he was? Good? He was kicking a football, and he made kicks from long distance, and he was actually consistent. I get the sense that it's nice that Mike Dana and Christian Fulton are on the field. Maybe they can play a role on Sunday. But yeah, this is a team that feels like, okay, I'm not going to say they've gotten their groove back, but they can say that if they win on Sunday and they look competent for the entirety of the game. No, hey, Todd, guess what? He wasn't falling down to one knee. Now, you and I both know this, Todd.
Well, I'm sure he was at some point during the day.
It's a practice, not a game we talking about.
Oh.
Practice. But hey, practice might translate to the games. That's why we talk about practice. So if they practice well, that'll translate on Sunday. And if I keep looking at my phone, it keeps reminding me that, holy smokes, the Baltimore Ravens, do they have any players healthy? Not named Lamar Jackson, because holy smokes, man. The vibes feel great compared to Baltimore, which is like, do we have to play on Sunday?
Well, and that's so fascinating because the vibes of the actual games to this point have been so much better from Baltimore's side. And this is why I wanted to start today's show talking about the stakes of this games and the corresponding vibes that come with it. I even thought it was interesting when Matt Nagy said today that having Rashee Rice back in the room and having Xavier Woods back on the practice field is like good for the vibes there. And of course it would be. They need a little vibe elevation.
They do.
But what is so fascinating to me is the Chiefs start the season 0-2, and they lose to what looks like a really good team in the Chargers and a really good team in the Eagles. But the Ravens start 1-1 with a 1-point loss to the Bills. They beat the Browns in a blowout, and then they lose to the Lions in 8 points final score, but that game was back and forth all the way through, and you saw how close it was.
Yep.
A lot of standalone game of the week kind of games for both of these teams as well. The Chiefs come back and they get their Browns game against the Giants, and it saves them from an 0-3 start. These are two Super Bowl contenders. These are two teams that you could have rightfully, very reasonably had in an AFC championship matchup before the season. And right now, they're both 1-2. I think in the standings, this game is slightly more important for the Chiefs because the Chargers are 3-0 with wins over all three AFC West teams.
Correct.
And Cincinnati, pun intended here, upcoming. Cincinnati's a paper tiger without Joe Burrow. And the Pittsburgh Steelers will be 8-9 or 9-8, and we'll find out later in the year which one that is. So Baltimore knows exactly what they have to do. Like, if Baltimore wins 10-11 games, this is their division. The one seed certainly looks like Buffalo or LA's right now, honestly. But I do think the Chiefs have a steeper path in the division right here. But as you mentioned, Nate, we can kind of combine. I know these are two separate rundown spots. These are all going to bleed together in terms of all of the health in question now. The Ravens are banged up. The Chiefs look like they'll be getting back Xavier Worthy, but we don't know exactly what he's going to bring to the table. So anyway, before we totally cannonball back into the injury front, that to me is what stands out from this top line of two teams in another game of the week circumstance. Two teams that actually have quite a bit at stake for it just being week 4.
Yeah, and I don't know if this will. Again, it's hard to say how this game will be part of the ramifications towards the playoff seeding and tiebreakers and things of that nature. Obviously, it's a conference game. But the Chiefs, I get the sense, are starting to understand, hey, and we heard this today. If you didn't know this, ladies and gentlemen, today was assistant coach day. So I thought every assistant coach had one job. They're gonna walk into the room full of reporters. They're gonna say, "How are you guys?" To which we say, "Great. Sounds like you just got a win, sir." And their one job, Seth, was to say, we know exactly what we got to fix, and we're fixing it. You know what? We're just gonna keep fixing it, and
that's
we know
great news.
We've identified it. And we gonna fix it, okay? That's
wow.
What other questions do you have? Yep, it's getting fixed. We're fixing it, okay?
Can I point out one example where that was not the answer?
Sure.
Oh, Seth is gone. I need Seth to actually hear it.
You hear it? Yeah.
Seth, I do have one example of when that was not the response, and it's when Andy Heck was asked about Jawan Taylor, and he was like, "Yeah, he's got to fix it." He's like, "I've done everything I can here."
Yeah. I have coached this man. I would have
said
been
he was
nice
open to
see...
suggestions. It's the funniest
Yes.
Andy Heck has ever been. Andy Heck
said he's open to
suggestions. Yeah,
I think it was Vahe Gregorian who asked if you tried different approaches. To
Are you frustrated?
Yeah. He's like, I'm open to suggestions. Again, I'm not. This is not. This to me is not a joke. I don't think I've ever heard Andy Heck make a joke at the podium, and that to me really tickled me.
Yeah,
that's a good joke.
So look, the vibes are as good as you could ask for a one
Taylor
for a 1-2 team getting ready to play, one of its conference rivals, in a spotlight game, late afternoon kick, home game. I know someone in the comments I'm looking at here, saying like, hey, hey, are we going to see the team get back to having fun? I think that's what they're striving for. But in order to do that, you got to actually, start the game off well, which we have not seen them do in the first 3 games. So if they do that, then yeah, this will be like kind of I won't say a turning point, but a benchmark in the year, where you could say, look, the first 2 games are unusual compared to their standard. But at the same time, they got healthy. They got back into their home environment. They actually got the injury luck on their side heading into the game. And Xavier Worthy, I know people have asked in the chat. Xavier Worthy looks everything like you want him to look. I don't know if there's anything more they can do other than, I guess, give him more time. But at some point, he's going to have to play with this particular right shoulder injury. And the hope is that, because he got full participation today, he's expected to be a full participant tomorrow on Friday, that, it's not like a conditioning thing's the issue. He's been to practice the last 2 weeks. So the coaching staff has, geared a game plan with him involved. He's done everything you could ask of him. We've seen him catch the football. And so there's nothing else I think Xavier Worthy can do than just let's see what it looks like for the first time with him playing with this injury. So I think for Patrick Mahomes, it's got to be a great energizing boost. And for the rest of the team, understanding that the defense has played well the last 2 weeks, hey, here we go. We may actually be a somewhat competent, above average version of ourselves, which we have not sort of shown in these first 3 games of the season, which is a bit weird to say, but that's the circumstances that they're in.
Seth, we're going to get kind of into both sides of the ball, and we'll spend more time on Worthy and stuff. But yeah, what are you thinking from kind of the 30,000-foot view of what this game might mean?
An analogy comes to mind.
Oh, dear.
So I think a football season is a lot like a marriage.
I wish I could have paused the show and bet $1,000 that it was either going to be like Jesus Christ of Nazareth
the
or
church
like a marriage.
Or marriage. Yeah.
You know what? Now
I
that you
felt
mention it, a football season is a lot like a 3-year ministry in ancient Palestine. No, Nick, stay with me on this, okay?
Okay.
Obviously,
yes,
a lot
Pastor
of the
Seth.
things,
Reset it from the beginning. Reset it from the beginning. Hold on.
Okay, everybody calm down.
From the top.
Pastor
Yep.
Seth has something he wants to say.
There's
Can you sit on your chair
season.
backwards? I'll do it. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. So, hey, guys. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up, man? You sick with it today? How you doing? Yeah.
Jake Dennis says, long road to a short thought with Seth Keysor. That is the podcast within this podcast when Seth does this.
So here's what I would say, my brosefs. Nate's right that usually football doesn't begin for the Kansas City Chiefs until, November or so. But here's the deal. Now, hey, Nate, you can have that ball, but let's just make sure we keep it to ourselves, okay? All right, cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. So Josh, it would have been so amazing if you had a ball that you could have done. Anyway,
I was looking around.
I have a legitimate thought on this that I'm going to get there in a tortured way. In a football season, how you end up is way more important than how you start. The problem is sometimes for some football teams and some marriages, the things that you do early on can cause such a problem and can create such toxic patterns and put you in such a bad place that it doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter how bad you want it. It doesn't matter how much you love to win. Doesn't matter how much you wish things were different. It's just too late. And no matter what you pour into it, you just can't fix it. And this is where you start off 1-3. You have created yourself a hole that you just can't dig your way out of very easily. And that is where the Chiefs and the Ravens could both find themselves here. Now, are both of them good enough to get out of it? Sure. With enough dedication, enough focus, enough willingness to introspect, prayer never hurts. There's a lot of things that you can do, but now it's no longer in your hands anymore in a very literal way. And so that's really what's at stake for Chiefs versus Ravens. I do think it means a little more to the Ravens because I think the Chiefs have been there. I think The Chiefs have, like in 2021, they've had other seasons. Things looked really bad near the end of 2023. Things looked really bad midway through 2021. They've been there, and they know they can claw their way out of this. They know they can. I think when you'd see the Chiefs really fall apart emotionally, if that were going to happen, would be like if they actually missed the playoffs. I think the sideline would be like catatonic because it's so far outside their experience. But I think it means more to the Ravens because I think it'd be harder for them to claw their way out of it. I think the Chiefs, they've just been there. They've done this. And so that's my illustration, is that you don't want to be the person that a certain number of years in, I don't know, just to pick a random number off the top of my head, let's say 18, you realize that things just aren't what you thought they were, 18. And you're in real trouble. You are 18.
Yeah.
Oh, what a weird coincidence.
Yeah.
I have one follow-up
yes.
question.
Yep.
Really
yeah.
I have
what up,
question.
Josh?
This one actually goes to my good friend Nate. Nate, would you say that this last couple minutes qualifies for the bingo square of Seth's loving relationship with Jazz is starting to sound like Stockholm Syndrome? Because that is the bottom right square on the bingo card.
Yeah.
If
I mean,
you could remove a word from there. Okay, that's too far with the joke.
All right. I'm
taking it way too far. No,
he didn't
just
say Jazz, but
blinked,
I got the point.
I blinked and I saw a specter appearing. Man, Josh is going to have bingo so quick. So the stakes are high. For the Ravens, they've got the idea that, they can say, hey, we're not healthy. Our defense will get better. Yes. Thank you, Todd Barton. You know who else was in a big hole but did get out of it, even though it took way longer than anyone thought it would? That's right.
We had to call it was. We had to call Mary Magdalene to tell you what happened.
Yeah. Because you fools were busy hiding in the upper room. Like
That's
a bunch
right.
Of losers. At least she had the gall to go there. Now, did she recognize him when she saw him? No, not at first. But that's cool, man. Like that happens.
No. What?
No.
Who's that?
Yeah. Mary. Oh,
that's right. Oh, hey.
That'll preach. That'll preach. Man, this was some niche humor. So, I think the Ravens can tell themselves that, health permitting, they can get better, but they don't have the same. They've got a good coach, they've got good leaders in the locker room, but they don't have to. Okay, dang it! Our commenters are on fire.
I gotta read this one because it made us laugh, and I can't put that on the bingo card. Also, Ben Wilkins says a football season is. Oh, Nick, you got to put it back up. I'm sorry, I was reading it from the overlay on the screen. Ben Wilkins says a football season is a lot like a marriage. Sometimes you have to get your weight down, and you're cut from the roster. Seth, what's your number right now?
I'm at 208, baby. Feeling
good.
We're
all really proud of you.
Really proud.
Any day now, you're going to no longer have that X on your helmet. Was that? Yeah. They can't be doing that anymore, right?
Look, it's hard to say. Who knows? You just always going to be right. Like, at some point, maybe my name will be on the back of the jersey again. Who knows? But it's a huge game. If you go down to 1-3, and again, the Ravens have an easier schedule, or not easier schedule, but a much easier division. The Chiefs can claw their way out of anything. But, man, it sure would be nice to not have to go through a gauntlet like they did in 2023. 2023 was one of the greatest playoff runs any team's ever made, and maybe the greatest. And
I mean, statistically.
Statistically, in terms of how tough it was. Mm-hmm. So doing that again, that's a lot. But I do think for the Chiefs, they really were dead and buried after 2 weeks. And what an opportunity for them to just grab all that pettiness that they've been utilizing for years now to just, you thought we were done, and that'll power you. Spite, we've talked about this before. Spite can go a long ways. You can endure a lot of things. It sounds like he can get you
through about 15 years of marriage. Let's go ahead and get a break out of the way here, reset as we desperately need. But first, I'm calling all Chiefs fans because I got good news. I got big news. You could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA right now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll take a timeout, come back, talk about what we can expect from Xavier Worthy and the Ravens injury report next.
What's up, guys? I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network, and I'm here to talk to Kansas City businesses. If you rely on technology, you need an IT support team that's not just another vendor, but a true IT partner. That's why I want to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, KJ Miller. He is a VCIO at ThrottleNet, the Midwest's highest rated and most reviewed IT support company. They've been in business for more than 25 years, helping companies stay secure, productive, and ahead of the curve. They aren't just IT support, but they provide data security, IT strategy, and cloud software services. They do it all, and their reviews show they do it better than anyone else. So if you want to hear about how ThrottleNet can help your local business, join the conversation with myself, KJ Miller from ThrottleNet, and our resident genius from KC Sports Network when it comes to IT, at least as he's affectionately known by us, Mr. Craig Stout. Click the link in the description to hear how ThrottleNet can help you.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned to what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, you know, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Emprise because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity because you won't be disappointed and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
The availability front is obviously a major point of contention for this game. Right now, for the Baltimore Ravens, guys who have not practiced in any capacity this week on the official injury report: Broderick Washington, Kyle Van Noy, Ronnie Stanley, Patrick Ricard, and, of course, Nnamdi Madubuike. And then Isaiah Likely has been limited in both practices. Defense tackle Travis Jones didn't practice on Wednesday and was limited on Thursday. And from the Chiefs front, the only limited player today was Christian Fulton, which means that Mike Dana was a full participant today after being limited on Wednesday. And, again, another couple days here of full practice for Xavier Worthy. Nate, from what you know, first of all, anything you want to specifically highlight on that Ravens front? A lot of familiar names there. Madubuike is a big deal. And,
Yes.
and a nice gift for Kingsley Suamataia for surviving 2 weeks against incredible, like, unquestionable top 5 D tackles.
Yes.
You survived in advance through those two. You don't have to see Madubuike this week. And then obviously, then we'll circle back around on Worthy. But what jumps out to you from the Ravens side?
Yeah, I think no one said it better than Tucker, who, if I can find his tweet from earlier today about Madam PK not being available. You know, it's so funny to be like, hey, you know, Kingsley may not have to play a top 5 player in this position finally. But I
don't even realize I was plagiarizing Tucker there. I'm guessing I was. Sorry, Tucker.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's just one of those things where Kingsley Suamataia is celebrating right now.
Tyquan Thornton is going on nightcap with Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco tonight?
Because of course he is, baby!
Sorry, more things I'm learning by looking at Tucker's timeline. Yes.
Time to cash in.
No, I was like putting up a finger to like warn, like Tyquan, like, hang on. Just give it a few weeks, bro. Like,
nah, baby, cash in. So the wow thing about the Ravens is beyond just their defensive issues, where basically everybody on the field's a defensive liability, which is wild to say. You know, Calvin Noy has given them problems in the past. You know, Ronnie Stanley is one of the better left tackles in the league. Kind of need him if you're going to, I don't know, protect Lamar Jackson in a game where he is coming off a game where he got sacked 7 times, which is obviously unusual. Washington is important too because that is even less depth on the defensive line. So who knows? Maybe the Chiefs could have like a successful running game out of shotgun or under center. The Lions showed you that all you gotta do is get under center and go straight forward.
Just try it. Just
try it. Try it two plays in a row. I dare you.
This is not the Lions. This is not the Lions' offensive line from
2 years ago. Yes,
they're still very good. But let me tell you something. I'm here to tell people: Kingsley Suamataia, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith is a better run blocking trio. Now, is their run game nearly as well worked on? No. But they are a better run blocking trio on the interior than what the Lions have. If they don't get their guys back, honest to goodness, what good is it having two running backs that you're lukewarm on both if you can't give them 45 carries in a week 4 game? Just like, yeah, we're going to run the ball until you stop it. It would be hilarious. Anyway,
right.
Please.
No, but it's a great point because it would set up play action passing, especially if you have two legitimate threats on the deep level with Tyquan Thornton and Xavier Worthy. We'll see how much Xavier Worthy's snap count will be. My guess is it'll probably be around the 50%. So, unless something obviously happens in the game, but Xavier Worthy's going to be on the field quite a bit. And so those are things that you can identify. Marlon Humphrey has struggled. Even Kyle Hamilton has struggled.
Humphrey's like 75. He's older than I am.
Dude, the Lions just said, where he at? Basically, the Lions were just like, oh, it's 4th and 2. Where he at? Where he at? There he is. So
he's 29. He could be Seth's son.
Man, that dude's been in the league a long time.
He's been in the league. He's been I want to make this clear. He's been in the league a long time. He's been very good.
I would like to publicly apologize to Humphrey Humphreys on that.
But
that's on me. That's my bad. I could not have been more wrong. Congratulations for how young you came into the league. Good for you, dude.
Yeah, and he's very good.
Way off base. You're also more.
Also, what I said wasn't true. So I was like, we were just kind of playing. We were just playing games.
Hey, but what the Lions said was, where he at? There he is. Go at him.
It was rough.
It was rough. So one would think the Lions gave the Chiefs a very applicable game plan. 2 tight ends, run under center, play action pass, maybe have a nice rollout every now and then, and you could be successful. It also doesn't bode well when, and this might be the issue where the Ravens have to think about more. You might want to present more eye candy to the Ravens than even the Lions did, because there's going to be so many young, inexperienced players playing together in an environment like Arrowhead for the first time. Again, this should be the game we think the Chiefs, because of their own doing, get better. Because as I told you before, every assistant coach said, we working on it, we fixing it. And you have a weakened opponent right now that you would not normally face if they were on the schedule, in week 1 or say week 12.
Now, Seth, I'm a little behind. I'm about to crack open the latest article in the Chief in the North newsletter at mnchiefsfan.substack.com. But if there was anything that Nate just mentioned that would sound like something you might have some interest in, Nate mentioned there some under center and some eye candy. I don't know. Do you have any opinions on perhaps running under center while weaponizing Brashard Smith in the jet sweep action?
I do, in bold font and bigger than everywhere else, actually. That's one of the headers. Josh, you're not going to believe this. That's one of the headings in the article I wrote.
Man, it's almost like I'm actually pretty good at my job.
No, that's not it. But it's – and so here's the thing. So I set out to write an article about what the Chiefs did that was successful in the second half against the Giants. Just to set it up, one thing people need to realize – the first 4 drives of the game, if you just go by number of plays run and yards gained, which then will include, penalties, the Chiefs ran 32 plays for 103 yards their first 4 drives against the Giants. That's gross. That is genuinely disgusting. It is awful. After that, starting with that last drive before halftime, which, yes, includes a big penalty, but that's why you throw the ball down the field.
Right.
They averaged almost 7. They average almost 7 yards of play after that. They unlocked some stuff. And so I set out to write about, okay, what did they do? And there were multiple things that they did do differently that I wrote about. But the very first section turned into like 3/4 of the article, because one of the things they did only a few times, but it worked, when they ran the ball under center and they utilized Brashard Smith and jet sweep action. They let Nico Remigio have one too, which, by the way, is it just me that every time I see that dude get any opportunity in the offense, I'm like,
Say it, Seth.
he looks good. Like, and I understand that his particular skill set when Xavier Worthy's healthy is not, but like
Right.
he's a guy that you can run jet sweep stuff with and looks really good doing it. Brashard Smith's a guy that can run jet sweep stuff and looks solid doing it. He's got the burst, he's got the explosion to threaten it. And there's multiple plays, and you can go back and you should check it out in the newsletter because you'll be able to see it a little easier. When they ran a jet sweep action to the same side that they were running, and because the defense sees the jet sweep action, they all move just a little bit to their right, and that brings them, the linebackers, right into the path of a wave of offensive linemen and presents this gorgeous cutback lane for Isaiah Pacheco that literally no human being on earth could miss seeing. And Pacheco, to his credit,
you gotta say it like
ran
that.
straight through for reasons, Nate. And he ran straight to that point. They also, then later on, they ran counter. The Chiefs ran counter, guys. They ran counter from under center. It was awesome. And it gained like 11 yards. And then
Don't get used to
it. Then they never ran it again. I'm like, you gained 11 yards. Do the Madden thing. Flip the play and run it to the right now. Just see what happens. That's one of my favorite things that the Eagles in 22, when they were kind of at their apex with some of the run game stuff, they would just run the ball like 13 plays in a row. And I was like, I respect it.
Yeah.
So in that play with counter, they utilized the jet sweep action to the right and then ran counter to the left. And the thing is, if you're already running counter, the idea is the offensive linemen are already moving that way to kind of fool the defense. Yes. And now you got jet sweep going that way. And the edge that was supposed to contain the direction that Pacheco was going was just gone, man. He was so far upfield that I don't even know if he tried afterwards. It's like, well, nope, not going to do that joke. What
joke is that, sir? I'm
not
sorry.
a joke that I need to make. So
I agree.
Thank you, Josh. See, Josh knows me. He's like, nope. If Seth's filtering it, that thing should be filtered. So they using that eye candy, and then actually, here's the key though, you have to actually utilize those jet sweeps sometimes, and they did. And they were successful basically every time they did it. Here's one difference when you're running with Remigio or you're running it with Brashard Smith. You're not running it with Xavier Worthy or Rashee Rice, which means you're not sacrificing a potential route.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge difference. And that's one reason they ran it with McCole Hardman all the time, is because you're not sacrificing a route when it's a play action. The only player I've ever seen who could run legitimate routes after executing a jet sweep fake was Tyreek Hill. And that's because Tyreek Hill is one of the greatest athletes to ever play football.
Can I say his name?
I thought I did.
No. There was one game, kids,
Oh boy.
in the middle of a season, and it was glorious, where Kadarius Toney went on a jet sweep, and then it was play action, and the Jaguars forgot this man existed.
That is true.
And he hopped his way into an end zone, kids. I miss him every day. Every single
Good for Seamus. Tony probably could if he lined up right. There's a lot going on there, and there's a lot of truth to that. So that is one thing. One thing I've noticed when they are running some play action stuff from under center, those are getting blown up pretty quickly. And you know why? Because teams don't expect them to run it from under center, which means you have got to start running it under center more. And if you actually start doing it, you are going to get fewer of these plays where Mahomes has his back to the defense, takes the handoff, turns around, there's someone right there. Now, to be fair, Mahomes usually shakes the guy because he's one-on-one in space against a defensive lineman. That's almost always a win for the Chiefs. So that jet sweep stuff, they used to do that all the time to help set up the run. It slows down the pass rush. There's so many benefits to doing it. And I'm sure they went away from it for a variety of reasons. Let's bring it back, man. It clearly did some good. So, I mean, that first and foremost is one of the offensive evolution things. More under center. It suits your personnel. It's in running the running backs and your offensive linemen, because their running backs just can't get the edge unless you're talking Rashard Smith, and that's an unknown. So that's the biggest and first thing. And that might only be like 7 or 8 plays a game. But you know what that is? It's more than 1 or 2. And and then you create an actual play action boot, and
concept.
So it affects more than just those plays.
It's what we call a concept, Seth. I know Josh probably heard this. I had the responsibility, ladies and gentlemen, to ask Andy Heck, hey man, y'all run a lot of running concepts. Y'all gonna pare that down?
I thought it was a really good question, and Andy Heck also thought it was a really good question, or at least he said that out loud into a microphone.
And then didn't answer my question.
No, he said it was a good question, so he could figure out a way to get away from it.
Hey, you wanna give these young offensive linemen, I don't know, 4 concepts to get good at before you run 20 in a game?
Yeah. And that stuff matters. The one they've executed most consistently is inside zone with those combo blocks up front, but that's because they run it the most. And that is one thing, like talking to people who would probably know. The Chiefs don't dedicate as much time to their run game install as other teams.
You think?
And it shows. That's just something to think about.
They don't okay, I'll speak on past experiences. They didn't polish run concepts until the playoffs.
Yeah.
Think about that, guys.
And then people wonder, like, man, they look so much better running the ball in the playoffs. It's like, Andy, God dang it. Like, and it's hard to argue with some of the results, but you're also like, man, those read option looks that just undressed Buffalo on national television. Like, we couldn't have run 3 of those during the season. Like, no. I don't know. No, of course not. And to be fair, they were hilariously unprepared for it. And Andy, that was when it was like, oh, okay, Andy doesn't just have his fastball. He's got 107-mile-an-hour fastball. That was the AFC Championship. Since then, it's been like, well, who knows? But that idea of evolving the offense in that sense, it doesn't have to be a ton of plays. It has to be enough to make a meaningful difference. But they can do other stuff too. Watching Hollywood Brown run a little bit deeper slant to kind of the intermediate area of the field when he's isolated in man coverage, watching him catch the ball on a deep out when he was isolated against man coverage, and like by deep out, I mean in the intermediate zone, that's where he wins. Why? Like I think they were trying to utilize him to replace Xavier Worthy. He's not as good at the same things as Xavier Worthy. So utilize Brown in the way that he should be utilizing, or you should be utilizing him. Keep taking deep shots to Thornton. There is a cohesive offense that you can build around these ideas. This is like, because, sure, the under center play action stuff, that's like 7 or 8 plays a game. But then you can build some deep shot play action stuff that's more meaningful.
Right.
And that's another 2 or 3 plays, maybe 3 or 4 plays. And then Hollywood Brown getting in better intermediate routes. That's another few plays. Like these things matter. And then run, once you've established all this, once you've got this ecosystem in, then go back to running empty and running spread when they're no longer sure what you're going to do. And you know what you got to be willing to do? If you're running empty and they just empty out the box, you motion Kareem Hunt back in, you take the 5 or 6 easy yards, and then you live to fight the next down. And if they don't, hey, Travis Kelce's isolated alone in man coverage, which he still can, he's beating better than he was previous
last
years.
year. Yeah.
So there's a whole, it's not just a few tweaks here and there. Those, you can build an entire offensive ecosystem around some of this stuff, and that's who they have right now. And so I would love to see them really embrace the identity that they have and skill sets that they have in the room. And, so I fully expect them to run, about 38 RPOs out of shotgun on Sunday.
Passes.
Yeah, and 37 passes. Like, what do you think Patrick Mahomes is going to do? You think that guy does not know that the running back room isn't what it is maybe in other places? You think, so he's got a choice. He's reading the defender, and the defender kind of bites a little bit, but not really. And he's got the ball shoved into the gut of his running back, and he can either give it to him or keep it. And he thinks, I am the greatest player to ever play this game. And this is Kareem Hunt. in the year of our Lord 2025. I like Kareem. He's a good dude. He thinks really fast. He's like Data from Star Trek. So he's thinking all
a
this.
lot of how Mahomes' brain work, actually.
Yeah.
I think
A more modern. He's like Sherlock Holmes with the Robert Downey Jr. version, right? He's thinking all these things. It is 2025. The blocking does look pretty solid up there, but man, I bet I could squeeze into that window right there. And if I can't, I could probably just run it because I'm faster than Kareem at this point. And so I've also run over more people.
I've broken more tackles.
I thought it was funny today. None of you cowards in the media room had the guts, Nate. But I did like when Spags, you guys were asking about Derrick Henry. He was like, yeah, he's not a fumbler, but we're going to try to punch the ball out and everything. We just haven't really gotten that done yet this year. And I wanted one of you so bad. They'd be like, have you asked about getting Pat in there? Little weak side linebacker? Have him in there at safety? One guy has actually
punched the ball out,
ball
coach.
carrier this year, and his name is Patrick Lavon Mahomes II.
On a play where his running back... On a play where his running back ran the wrong way.
Didn't know where he was on the field.
The man went, oh, crap. They have the ball. I have to get that ball. That is like
10
I don't
yards
really
from
believe
scoring, by the way.
Yeah, I don't believe in the idea of like manifesting things, but that play almost made me think. He was like, "Oh no, I need to get that ball. Therefore, I will get that ball." Maybe it works for Patrick Mahomes and not.
But it must be nice being, an essentially incredible athlete. Yeah, it must be nice. It must be really nice.
I'm going to go ahead and do this for Seth as he begins to rationalize with the fact that the world does work differently for Patrick Mahomes than it works for Seth Keysor. While Seth goes through all of the steps that requires mentally, we're going to kick it over to our guy, Benny Heiss.
Hey, what is happening? It is Ben Heisler, KCSN sports betting analyst. Got some thoughts on the Chiefs matchup this week at home against Baltimore. Again, Chiefs home dogs for the second time this year. Right now at DraftKings Sportsbook, the Chiefs plus 2.5 at near even money for this game against Baltimore at home. Total sitting at 48.5. We're going to dive into that matchup coming up in just a second, as well as a play. But for those of you that are on the Missouri side, wait, it's almost over, you guys. I promise. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming so soon to the Show Me State. You can actually sign up today. New Missouri customers can get $300 in bonus bets once DK Sportsbook launches on December 1st. You download the app now, place a $5 bet once you go live, and you can get yourself that $300 in bonus bets. It's got everything you need, whether you love in-game betting, you love the touchdown props, anything else. So many different ways to get in on the action. And when you go live in Missouri, you're going to be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions. So let's break down this game for a second. You got the Ravens coming off a short week, mind you, with this game likely going to 3. We're seeing minus 120 at Ravens, minus 2.5 on the road in Kansas City. The Chiefs plus 2.5 at even odds. We're seeing 88% of the money on DraftKings coming towards the Ravens as a road favorite compared to just 12% of the money for the Chiefs. And the total in this game right now over 48.5 is getting just 27% of the money and 63% of the bets. So a lot of money coming in on the under at 48.5 at 73% of the money and just 37% of the bets. Now, there are a few things that are working in favor of Kansas City in this game. You got Lamar and his documented struggles against Kansas City. He's just 1-5 straight up and 2-4 against the spread in head-to-head games against Mahomes. The Ravens' best win in the Reid Mahomes era has come by just a single point against the Chiefs. That was 36-35 back in 2021. Mahomes, I've talked about this before. Historically, he's been a really good underdog play, 12-3-1 against the spread, including 11-5 straight up. But he's actually already lost one of those games this year. That was week 2 against Philly. Maybe you can argue that the Chiefs deserve to win. Regardless, that's still a number that didn't live up to it this year. And when the Chiefs play a team on short rest in the Andy Reid Mahomes era, they're 18-3 straight up. The key for me is whether or not the Chiefs can run on Baltimore. Short week, Ravens rank dead last in the NFL in rushing yards allowed. Their defense has been picked apart all season long. They're also leading the league in rushing touchdowns allowed. That's going to be the key difference here, is whether the Chiefs can sustain some long drives, get Pacheco moving in the right direction, get some extra conversions on third down with Kareem Hunt. And when I think about the ideal ways to bet this game, seeing that much money come in on the Ravens scares me a little bit. I would take the Chiefs at +3. I think that's a good number to get, and that's likely the direction this game is going. But I'd rather get them at an even better number. And so my bet for this game is I'm going to use the Chiefs in a 2-team 6-point teaser over at DraftKings. I like the Chiefs going from +2.5 to +8.5. And then also taking the Texans, yes, the 0-3 Texans, who are at home against the 0-3 Titans, moving the Texans, which are a touchdown favorite at -7, down to -1 versus Tennessee. You combine those two together, you get the Chiefs at +8.5 at home against a team that they have constantly done a good job of beating in close games. And the Texans only have to win by 1 point or more against Tennessee. Combine those two together in a 6.2 team teaser. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Do it today. Use code KCSN to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet once everything goes live on December 1st. Again, KCSN is the code in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. You must be 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after they're issued. That excludes customers who redeem their pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms available at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Thank you, Benny. We're all a little more educated now. We got our picks lined up. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. Can the defense do this again, and specifically against this opponent? Because obviously what we have seen them do since week 1 has been really, really impressive. Dave Merritt also talked today, which is just like worth your time. We mentioned the Andy Heck stuff. That was kind of interesting. Spags is always a good hang. We get to hear from Dave Merritt every once in a while, and it's always a delight.
Yep.
But there's a little bit of a spectrum here, I guess, where I have been effusive in my praise of the secondary, and on Tuesday we talked about it a ton and what they did against Neighbors, what they did against an amazingly talented skill position group against the Eagles. But I think I had this conversation on Tuesday, so I think I actually said this on this show on Tuesday, but Nate wasn't here. Doing the drive with Carrington Harrison on Tuesday, I was being effusive in my praise of the secondary, and Carrington did ask, like, can we wait until it's a passing game that knows what it's doing? Because the Eagles' passing game, despite all the talent, like, there are real questions about them throwing the football, and the Giants benched Russell Wilson immediately after this game, so, not his best effort. And Justin Herbert and that offense had this defense all out of sorts. But I do still think, with that being said, I think we would have seen coverage busts if there were coverage busts these last 2 weeks. I think we still would have seen miscommunication if there was miscommunication. And you've got legitimate number 1 wide receivers across these teams. Now, obviously, the game is different with Baltimore. They were throwing the ball pretty well. Big Rashad Bateman game on Monday night. And then, obviously, we know what they can do on the ground. Nate, I'll give you the first crack at it here. Where does this defense begin? And truly, like, how big is this test that they have in front of them on Sunday?
Yeah, I love the Rashawn Bateman reference because it could be a game where you're asking him and DeAndre Hopkins to, carry much of the weight. If you put Trent McDuffie,
DeAndre Hopkins, like,
that's
having
right,
a 4th quarter touchdown in this game or something.
That's right.
I can't do that.
Because what the Chiefs have shown is, hey, we have Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson playing very well right now. So I think Zay Flowers might not be a part of the equation the way you hope if you're a Chiefs fan. I think the question that has always come with Steve Spagnuolo is, how much blitzing is too much blitzing? Because, guys,
I don't understand the question.
If the Chiefs... if the Chiefs get the lead in the first quarter, based on the way the secondary has played the last 2 weeks, I think you might want to ratchet up the pressure early just to see how does Lamar handle it, considering that, again, he got sacked 7 times, and a bunch of those weren't even involving blitzes from the Lions. But in terms of speeding up the process and making sure that Lamar does not have all day to throw, because I know everybody's, wondering about if Chris Jones doesn't win immediately, if George Karlaftis cannot provide consistent pressure. Again, we don't know if Ronnie Stanley's going to play, but let's not have Mr. Lamar Jackson have the ball in his hands for 5 seconds while, moving within the pocket. It's interesting because is this a Jaden Hicks game on Mark Andrews? I don't know. Is that a Chamari Connor decision? Brian Cook is always in the mix, but because the secondary has played so well, and because the Chiefs tackled a lot better in the second half against the Giants, it really comes down to, can you tackle Derrick Henry consistently, and how much is too much blitzing to where you say, look, we don't want to make Lamar Jackson feel comfortable. And he actually feels a lot more comfortable. Even in the game against the Lions, he feels comfortable when he can get into creation mode, where he can get into a situation where, hey, I break and contain, or I've given my receiver an extra second to get open.
Seth, where does that leave you?
I've got this vision of Spags sitting at a counter and talking to his linebacker and secondary coaches and saying, just send all the guys you have. And then they start to walk away. He goes, wait, I'm afraid what you just heard was, I want you to send a lot of guys. What I said was, send all the guys you have. I think Spags would get along with Ron Swanson. Yes, I do. I really do. I think a lot of people would get along with Spags. And so the thing with Jackson is, if you're going to blitz him, you have to do it one of two ways. Okay? Well, one of three ways. You got to get there immediately. I mean, immediately, because he's almost always going to be a better athlete than the guy you're sending after him.
Correct.
Honestly, Trent McDuffie's one of the best athletes in the Chiefs secondary, maybe the best athlete. He's a little underrated in that area because he's a smaller corner. But him and Lamar are like this. I mean, they are very similar athletes. So you can get there immediately from like a direction he's not really anticipating, right? Because that forces him, if he's coming from a standstill, you've got a running start, just physics there. That's one way. The other way is similar to how you blitz Mahomes, is you send someone after him, and then you've got someone wheeling in right behind him, right where they're going to bail out, and then you kind of get like a pincer movement for you ancient war aficionados. The other way is to crush the pocket and just have good coverage. And
which is the Steve Spagnuolo way, you could argue.
There's a reason why Spags has overall done better against Lamar than most.
Mm-hmm.
His methodology of doing things does work a little bit better than some other ways. You get guys that come screaming off the edge. That just isn't as effective against Lamar unless, again, you've got someone coming in right behind him. You turn it into a race that you're always going to lose.
Right.
Crushing the pocket with good coverage. That's one thing that's really encouraging to me, is how well the secondary is playing. If people are like, oh, you don't want Lamar Jackson sitting in the pocket for 5 seconds. Lamar's a great quarterback. If his options are covered, and this is the same about Mahomes, okay? So this isn't like, you should have tried out a wide receiver crap or anything like that. With Lamar and Mahomes, and honestly Josh Allen too, if you contain them in the pocket and their first couple of reads are covered, these guys are used to creating at that point. That is what they do. And so you can see them start to want to move to creation mode, but if you're not letting them, that's when you get some dancing within the pocket. And dancing within the pocket means they're not really going through their reads as effectively. Again, that happens to Mahomes and Allen as well. I mean, I think there's no mistake that it happens to the big three, and they're the three best creators, three of the best the game has ever seen.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't mind him as long as the coverage is on point. And that's where the middle of the field, they're going to have to be careful with that. They've been hurt there before. So I could see Spags coming at him with I think it's going to be kind of a feast or famine thing. I think Spags is going to be sending 6 or 7 or 3 or 4.
Right.
Like, there's not going to be a lot of like 5-man blitzes. Like, that's not really the way to go. You got to shock and awe and give him no chance to go through that first read, let him try to run away, but there's too many dudes.
Right.
Or you got to crush the pocket, really be good in coverage. I mean, that's the 2023 game, the AFC Championship there, arguably the best team Jackson's been a part of. And they didn't have a ton of quick pressure, but they just slowly but surely worked their way towards him, and he had nowhere to throw the ball most of the time. And you could see that start to get to him.
Josh, there was a point today that I found to be fascinating with Dave Merritt where he actually encouraged his guys publicly to take more risk.
Yeah.
And one of the most interesting parts of that is...
Did he say except you, Josh Williams?
Well, I mean, he wasn't... I mean...
Seth, I got... He didn't come up.
I mean, he said Fab Five, and that's true.
That's true. You're right. You're right.
That was his reference.
You're right.
But essentially, he's saying that the reason why Chris Roland Wallace got the interception against Russell Wilson is Russell only throws it deep, and he was willing to take risk and jump the route. We saw that a little bit, obviously.
He knew the concept, which is Russ going bleep it. Malik's down there somewhere, and then took the risk. Yeah.
So, is this if Dave Merritt is saying that publicly, and we saw some success with that type of mentality with Brian Cook, with Jalen Watson, obviously Roland Wallace, is there a possibility where the Chiefs will try to not only rush Lamar, but obviously try to get aggressive in terms of taking risks, maybe going at certain routes? I know the stats say that Brian Cook is having a great season. Yes, he did call Brian Cook an alligator armed it, which I was like, but coach, I mean, Malik Neighbors wanted to bury him. Malik Neighbors was the defender. He assaulted him while the ball was in the air.
And he was frustrated. Malik Neighbors was frustrated.
Very.
He basically hit him upside the head while the ball was in the air. So I know someone's referenced, go KC forever. Has referenced, hey, Detroit sometimes rush 3, had a spy. What Spags has done is go to somewhat of a bare front look and have Leo Chenal occupy the A gap and then basically be the spy. I know we saw that last year in the season opener. So there's a number of things they could do. What they cannot do, and I know, small sample size, you cannot take risks, you cannot blitz, you cannot do what Seth says if you don't bleep and tackle.
Yes.
Like, they gotta tackle with their hair on fire. And it's not great when we all saw Derrick Henry on Monday. I mean, I would suggest the Ravens give him the ball 30 times and see if he fumbles, because he looks angry, and that might not be good. The Chiefs run.
They should let him throw it again. That was fun. That again.
The Chiefs.
He almost had a pick and a fumble.
Right. The Chiefs' defensive success rate on running plays, not been great, kids. So hey, tackle the ball carrier. It'd be nice.
Or just tackle the ball. You got very close to mentioning this, Nate. I just wanted to mention it because I'm sure that there's a lot of spy chat in the discussion here now. But Spags did talk about that some, and you mentioned again kind of having Leo be the guy who can do that out of a bare front or whatever. And this, I don't know, this is kind of 101, but I do think it's a good exercise to start going through. When you have a spy, as Spags talked about today, it takes away a guy from the pass rush, and it also kind of takes away a guy from coverage. So now you're playing your defense with 10 players, and then one guy's job is to hopefully get a good angle on Lamar Jackson. Which even then, like I don't know if we can get the advanced analytics on like Lamar versus a spy one-on-one going forward. Like how often is that guy able to actually stop Lamar from creating on that? But I thought it was an interesting first thing for Spags to say was, well, it takes away from the pass rush.
Unless that spy is actually James Bond driving an Aston Martin, like he's probably not going to do well with Lamar Jackson in space. Like I actually really like what Minter's been doing with the Chargers, and what I've seen more and more teams start to do is almost have a looper rather than a spy, and you send them to the spot that you anticipate the quarterback bailing to.
They're releasing from,
yeah. Those are.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I went to the chat.
Dang it!
Immediately wrote Aston.
I'm not actually James Bond aficionado. Aston. Man,
I heard you talk about an Austin Martin. And I was like, isn't that a
Austin Martin?
Seth mispronounces words is my new favorite bit to be taken away from.
Austin Martin is an American baseball outfielder. Let's go.
Yes, that's what I meant.
I thought I had that.
It's weird that James
Minnesota
Bond
twin.
is driving
He's a
that
twin.
dude around.
He's a twin. You can do this.
He's actually in the bigs. Come on. He's in the bigs.
I knew his name was in my head somewhere. He probably had a homer against the Royals at some point.
For real?
He's not good at anything.
Okay. So look, guys.
Finish your thought if you had another thought there, Seth.
No,
Actually, go ahead, Nate. Seth, go ahead. You finish the show with your hand over your face.
His body to take a break.
And then Nate, you can get us out of here faster than an Austin Martin.
Austin Martin coming to the plate.
6-year-old center fielder. He's got wheels, I'm sure.
How about Bo Penix against those Panthers? God, he was terrible. So look,
I just want for the sweet release of it all to just end. I got nothing. I've got nothing more to offer, and I have no idea why any of these people would listen to me if I did. So, Nate, why don't you get us out of here?
I'm on Austin Martin's baseball reference page.
How many times do you think he hears that at the bar? Hey-oh! Now look, kids. It's week 4, all right? I am giving you permission Sunday night to get all the takes off, okay? You've got a legitimate sample size now, kids. 4 of these things, all right? Either your team's 2-2 or 1-3 or 1-2-1, whatever. But look, if you want to never see Jawan Taylor again, you have my authorization on Sunday night. If you never want to see them give the ball to Isaiah Pacheco, you have my authorization, okay? I'm like a doctor. This is not healthy for you, but I will prescribe your ability to go off, okay? If you think Matt Nagy should never see the sun again,
not a good doctor.
4 weeks, okay? Come back to me in another 4 weeks. Maybe I'll prescribe you a little bit of, hey, let's get to the halfway point of the season, okay? But I understand. I read a lot of you guys' comments. All right, I see what you're saying. All right, it's been 3 games, 3 measly games. You know what changes that? A 4th game. A 4th game where you can say anything.
My prescription's slightly different. It's what Tyquan Thornton said earlier this week. Don't look at Twitter.
Not if it's after the 4th game of the season.